Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. I'm your host, Teri Wellbrock. And again, smiling big. My cheeks are all pink for those of you watching the YouTube video, because I went out and sat in the sun on this gorgeous day and got a little sun here in December, a few days before Christmas. So today I'm really excited to have with me Corey Lyon Folsom, and he is love and relationship coach and author of Soul Statements, a love coach's guide to successful communications. So welcome, Corey.
Thank you very much, Teri.
Yeah, well, I told you I'm excited to learn from you, and I love this idea of um, soul statements. I just finished 2 days ago narrating my 9th audiobook. So I'm an audiobook
Oh,
narrator, one of my many hats. And oh my gosh, this was such a soulful book, and a lot about this soul work. And so again, this timing is so perfect with the universe. And so what is a soul statement? And yeah, how does one go about utilizing them?
well, a soul statement is a present time reminder of what's already true, what's already good, and what's resourceful inside yourself or about yourself. And so rather than trying to put your mind into a future desired state and emotionally bring it to you, which it's awesome to do sometimes, when you have these moments of distress or feeling a little lost or maybe helpless or weary or whatever, you can pull out a soul statement and say, I have grit inside me, or my heart is a trusted guide, I'm held in God's love. So those are things that are real and accessible. And why not remind yourself of what's good about you? Because what's good in any moment is actually available. What's wrong is also available. And that's where our minds tend to default to. And it's our job to kind of bring it back to feel more resourced and go forward into a better future.
I love that so much. And again, God's timing, always so good. Thanks, God. Because I was just writing my to-do list for the day, things I wanted to get accomplished, and obviously meeting with you. Um, and I wrote something down, and it was like, it's like this. I was just meditating about it outside of, all right, Teri, it's time. Like you've felt this soul urge, like this nudge, like angel whispers, whatever you want to call it, for so long. It's time. And so I literally wrote it down today. And so now I'm going to add to it, but with this, your recommendation. I love that idea, because I kind of got a little teary-eyed and a little like flip in my stomach, almost like some little butterflies, like, yes, that's it. And I love that reminder to ourselves, because
Yeah,
it's truth.
indeed. And it's really, soul statements is really based on the premise that answers are in your center. And there is goodness at your center. There is, strength and as I said before, resourcefulness. And we're never separate from our higher power, from God, from the creator, whomever made us. We're not separate. And so and we all go through doubt and uncertainty, and why not have a soul statement in your pocket to bring you back to what's good and true.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now I love you're also worn many hats. I loved when I was reading about you, and you were like an adventure guide, or like
Yes.
uh, through beautiful landscapes and so forth. And so you've taken so much of what you've learned and incorporated it into this really, like the work you're doing now as a coach, and really I love calling coaches guides, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what you are. You're a guide for people in their life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And because I don't know what's right for any other person, but I can help them with different perspectives, with asking better questions of themselves to get to better answers and to their own truth.
Yeah. And the reason I brought that up was when as I was reading about you and researching, um the words or something that you had done was, is it Tantra yoga? What?
Yeah.
Did I say it right? And
Yes.
that's come across my radar a couple times. And again, I was like, why is this coming across my radar a couple times in just in the last few days? So just out of my own personal curiosity, what is that?
Well, Tantra is um, kind of a school of thought. It's an attitude. It's an approach to life. Um, it encompasses a very wide spectrum of tantric practice. And so, to me, at its essence, it's an attitude and practice of paying attention to the moment and being all the way here right now. And so, the be here now is really encapsulates what we're trying to achieve with Tantra. So a lot of the practices are about involve breathing, because you want to bring yourself to now, to the present time, and also you want to know how your energy is moving, and where the kind of edge of your energy is, and to be able to be appropriate. And so, and to me, the more deeply you inhabit present time, the more you're being tantric. And so you can have a tantric phone call, and you can just go from event to event to event in your life, and just bring yourself all the way there, and you're living tantrically, is how I would put it. And so, in addition to the breathing exercise, a lot of it really is trying to slow down, because if we don't slow down, we'll miss the moment, and to really savor everything, and to have this um, outlook that life is a gift, and it's meant to be lived. It's meant to be uh, paid attention to.
I
So
love it.
that's it.
Yeah. Well, and thank you so much for clarifying it because it's so resonating with my soul. I again I did a lot of work as a trauma survivor with early childhood trauma. Um, I was always living either in the past with my fears and phobias and panic attacks, or in the future with worry and anxiety. And so I really had to do a lot of healing work to live in the now and to try to be in the now. Yesterday, um, I've been like talking to my trees. I don't know. It's just something I've been doing, like putting my hands on them and like feeling their strength and all of that. So I had a previous podcast guest earlier this week say, "Oh my gosh, it's such a great idea." I tell people like find 7 trees, give them a name, and like, talk to them. So we have a palm tree in our yard, which I'm still like get so excited. I'm like, "Oh my God, I have a palm tree." And so I named it Fluff. But then I have these 2 twin pine trees, and so they're Tammy and Tommy. So like today I went out earlier and I just was like putting my hands on him. And so I'm just appreciating the now. And the squirrel came running up and it like I startled him, he startled me. And so I started singing to him and he stood there with his tail flicking because he was scared. And then he just came down the tree next to me and just started rummaging around in the leaves looking for his nuts or whatever. And I was like, oh my, like it was such a now moment and just appreciating this is like really cool and there's nothing else matters than this moment.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
And
again, go ahead.
and I was going to say that one thing that my practice in the last year, is to, when I'm with anything, whether it's a tree or in front of my little home altar or sitting by a stream, I try to get very quiet and still, and my inner stillness is my offering to the tree, to the stream, to whatever.
That's that's really profound too, because I mean, I'll be thinking as I'm, like, oh, I'm like, your roots, you're so strong. I tried pushing one of the pine trees and I was like, you aren't budging, buddy. And I was looking up to see if like I could see movement in the pine needles or anything and nothing.
Mhm,
And so my mind was constantly going, but that's a great point to just be still and silence myself
mhm.
while connecting
Yeah.
and appreciating it.
Yeah, and as you obviously understand, with there's life in everything,
Yeah.
and so there's some sort of vibration or force or essence in everything, and so um, you can the more you can feel of your own essence, the more you can offer that. One of my favorite soul statements as it relates to Tantra, since we were just talking about that, is I have a beloved that dwells within.
Oh, yeah. Again, I don't know what's going on here, Corey, but the word beloved has like come across my radar like 4 times in the past couple days. And I I actually sat with it yesterday and I just kind of looked at the word and I was like, beloved, beloved. That I mean, it's a very empowering word, really. So again, that is just that's a statement I need to say to myself is say it again, repeat it again for me, please.
I have a beloved that dwells within.
I have a beloved that dwells within. Okay.
And you can also say, I have a loving heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ever say thank you to your own heart? Like, hey,
Well,
thanks for beating in there.
oh,
You know?
I have said it in when I've been like crying tears of joy about something sappy. Like, oh, thank you for being so, open and loving and like I have thanked it in that way. Yes.
It's
Yes.
very steadfast. It just keeps ticking through thick and thin.
Yeah. Oh, I love it so much. So steering back, since I way
Uh-huh.
steered off course for a second, steering back to the book for a second. So is it a guide that walks people through the process? Is it like a background story of you? And do you give examples for people throughout of how to do this?
Yes. So it's primarily a guide introducing soul statements, um, offering different ways of becoming still and creating your own soul statements. Some people just have one, and their soul statement. I have this one woman I coach. Her soul statement is simply, "I got this," and it applies to everything. And it works for her, and that's awesome. I'm more the uh, depending on whatever condition, I'll do something that, um, like I might say, I am enough, or the contentment of the mountains lives inside me, or, as I said before, my heart is a trusted guide. And so I'm held in God's love. And so that's what I'll do. And so we introduce soul statements. We spend some time with creating your own soul statement, and then it goes through uh, communication, and really the focus of the book is communicating gracefully, especially with yourself in various situations, and um, being able to connect to you so that you can be more present for life, and um, not have to just react or say something that you have to walk back later, but to be able to be, really connected to you. There are stories. There's stories sprinkled throughout every chapter, the little anecdotes from my life, but I don't spend a lot of time with those. They're just trying to illustrate some point. So yeah,
Right.
it's really a guide um, to go out into the world with other people, with yourself, with any situation. So yeah, it's a guide to successful communication.
Wonderful. And do, do you recommend I statements? I try to use I statements, but I'm not kidding. Today, I had gone in to brush my teeth and I saw myself in the mirror and I always like to give myself little pep talks and I was like, you got this, kid. I love you. And so like that's a you statement, right? So
Yeah, I'm a big fan of I statements, and what you really want to do is, if you're saying something to someone where, hey, I think you're a dummy dog for what you just did. they know what they did. They don't need to necessarily be educated that way. What they need to know is the impact on you. And so if I can lead with, hey, this is what it felt like to be me, it's less about pointing fingers and more about, hey, um, this is what happened over here when that was said or that was done or not done. And so uh, you're you're saying I statements in support of your feelings and your desires and your needs. um, you know, hopefully you put a request in there at the end someplace.
Yeah.
Like in the future, I would appreciate if, you call me if you're going to be more than a few minutes late, that kind of thing.
Right. Right.
Because you've already said, I felt anxious when I didn't hear from you.
Yeah.
But you're not saying, I hate, I think you're this because you didn't do that. You're just saying, hey, it caused anxiety in me. And part of the beauty of that is we've all felt anxious at times. And so, oh, yeah, I know what it's like to feel anxious. I
Right.
like this person. I don't want that for them. And I see that I had some contribution in that. So it's much more easeful, if you will, of of pointing out something that didn't go so well. And so um, uh, it just is more connecting because, oh, anxious. Yeah, I know what that's like.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess, you know, as a trauma survivor, and one of my biggest hurdles was, and I know probably many people listening in, is that fear of rejection. And so we keep quiet and don't say anything instead, and then either just seethe or feel resentful or whatever. But it is healthy to be able to say it, right? So that it gives that person an opportunity to grow and learn, to be like, oh, well, I didn't think about the impact that it had on this person. And that's probably, I mean, I'm guessing that's, as a communications coach and love coach where you help people along this communication journey, am I accurate in saying that? Yeah, like it, it is a big fear of rejection because they can be like, F you and whatever. And
Right. Yeah.
you can lose them.
Don't tell me how I'm feeling. Don't tell me what you think of me. just 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 tell me what's going on over there. And if we have some kind of connection and appreciation for each other, well, then we can both adjust. But um, it's kind of like need to know information. I'm doing my own thing through the world. And if I've caused some distress somewhere, well, I actually want to know about it so that I don't keep doing that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't want to be called a name or,
Right.
anything like that either.
Right. But some people aren't going to be receptive to it. And so you may lose them. But as I've tried to, instill in my kids, that has nothing to do with you. You're allowed to share your truths. I mean, I try to tell everybody, you're allowed to share your truths, and how
Mhm.
someone else reacts to it. It's just, that's their journey.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's more graceful ways to do that. Which I mean, I devote chapters in the book about that. And the soul statements, it's really about letting your soul influence your communication. So if you can spend some time feeling your emotional well, your spiritual well by spending time with yourself and feeling who you are at your center, that can inform your value, your sense of value, and your values. And then you can just more readily speak to those and speak up for your value and your values. And so it's like you're remembering who you are beneath circumstance, beneath worry. And, I like the soul statement, as my serenity increases, I can hold circumstance more lightly. I mean, it's a little complicated, but it's fun to say that too. And if you,
Yeah. I love that. I love it. Now, do you have favorite practices that you do yourself or you share with people? I know, like, I do nature walks, mindfulness, meditation, Ho'oponopono prayer. Like those are my top three.
absolutely. And so what I encourage people to do is do the ones they like so that they'll do them more often.
Yeah.
Some people that's journaling, and some people that's walking. And some people that's, sitting and being still. And so it's just whatever connects you to you, I'm a fan of. And so the more clear you can be on the inside, the more clear you can be with your communication. I like to say clarity is the new sexy.
I love that. It's true. Yeah. Yeah. I always tell people I'm attracted to souls. Like I'm just that's what I'm drawn to are people's souls, smiles and eyes too. And I have to tell you, when I saw your picture on, when they sent the little packet, I was like, oh my gosh, his beautiful blue eyes. I call them angel eyes. And they're just such a beautiful I just think they're windows to the soul. So just know that I saw yours and I was like, wow.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I'm a big fan of just why not? I'm a big fan of reminding yourself of what's true, as we've established. For instance, like when I'm on a treadmill at the gym, and it's getting strenuous, and I'm tiring, but I'm definitely going to keep going. I find it helpful sometimes to actually say on the inside of my head, I'm doing this as an act of love. I'm helping my body. And so this is self-care. And I like to say also self-care is soul care, and vice versa. And so time spent cultivating your spirit isn't lost time, in my view. And I like the soul statement, my inner alignment is always available. And we can just keep doing that. I mean, life for all of us, I think, is this path of veering off course and coming back and veering off course. It's like I don't know if you've ever steered a boat in the ocean, but when you turn the wheel, you have to turn it back before the boat starts to turn. Otherwise it'll turn too far, and you just have to keep doing that.
Yeah, those waves, right? Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love
Mm-hmm.
that. I love that idea. I used to have a boat. We would be in big lakes. I've never steered one in the ocean, but
Okay.
I've been on one in the ocean and ridden it. So I could just envision, what it was like for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
And
there was
and
one.
and
Oh, go
oh, I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go
Oh, I
ahead.
was just gonna say, and why not remind yourself when you're having a hard time in some way, I am bigger than any complaint. I love that soul statement
Yeah.
because it's true. And if it's true, you're not trying to trick your brain. You're just realigning with the stronger part of you, which is the true part of you.
Yeah, that's a really good one and very powerful, especially if you're encountering, yeah, toxicity. Wow. I keep pausing because it's like can you see the wheels turning in my brain because I'm processing it all?
A lot of cogs.
Right. You hear it crunching.
Yeah. Can't find them, grind them.
Right, exactly. Well, there was another question that I had written down here and I wanted to ask you. And I think you did clarify the difference between a soul statement and an affirmation, but didn't know if you wanted to maybe touch on that a little bit more.
Okay, well, an affirmation, as I said, you're emotionally inhabiting a desired experience, uh, and it's so you're bringing the future to you. So but if you're feeling, oh, I'm 10 pounds thinner, I'm feeling it, I'm definitely going to get there, but I'm feeling it now. That's fine. That's good, and that's partly how we move toward what we want. The difference with a soul statement, you're finding what's already true and affirming that. So what's already present in your depth. And so it's a way to bring attention to your inner resources that are available right now, right here. Another one I like that I say a lot is my body knows how to heal itself.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
And
I
there's a certainty that's deeper than our thoughts. It's down in the center, and that's what we want to avail ourselves of, is that certainty. And so having, the soul statement is something you do ahead of time. You're like, oh yeah, that's true about me. I'm feeling it. And so you have that ready to go when life tries to tell you otherwise. You're like, yeah, no, I don't. What's really true is, and I'll actually, when I hear my mind starting to catastrophize, think of worst case scenario, I'll actually give myself a little smirk and go, oh my gosh, I so used to think that. And what's really true is, yeah.
Yeah. And again, I wrote down I had on my to-do list today that so my left hip's been giving me a little bit of an issue. And um I said, oh, I'm gonna have to reach out to my healer here on the island and maybe see if I can get in with her and see if maybe she can do some alignments on me and so forth. And then I found myself scratching it out and I said to myself, and again, I talked to myself a lot as kid and kiddo, and I think that's like the inner child work that I do. I was like, all right, kiddo, like you've done so much healing work. You've been sitting a lot finishing this audio book, and it's a gorgeous day. When we're done here with this today, we're gonna get on our bike, we're gonna go for a ride, loosen that hip up. But it was along those lines of it was almost like internal knowing, no, you've got this. Your
Right.
body knows how to heal itself. So I
That's
love
right.
that one.
Right. And if there was a stretch that would help it, what would that stretch be? Let's try
Yeah.
it.
Ooh. So it's like asking yourself because you internally already know.
Right. And if you think to yourself, well, I don't know, you can say, well, what if you did know? What would that be? It's a kind of a little workaround to your
Oh,
brain.
I love it. Oh
So,
my gosh. This
and
is
that
so great.
kudos to Tony Robbins. That's where that one comes from.
Yeah. So like, yeah, almost a little trick question, right? What if you did know?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. It's like
Right. Exactly.
a little
Exactly.
ninja move.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Soul ninja.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I just have loved this conversation. I wish we could make it longer, but I wanted to give you an opportunity here to wrap things up, to maybe leave people with any words of wisdom, final thoughts, or anything that we didn't get a touch upon that you wanted to address.
Oh, thanks, Teri. Actually, one thing that's really important is that when you say your soul statement, what gives it the power isn't thinking it in your mind, it's feeling the truth and the rightness of it in your whole being. And so that feeling that the thought generates is more important than the thought. And so we just naturally, when we connect to what's true and we feel it, and we know it, like our bones go, yeah, then our next thought is a better one. And then, of course, our next action can be based on that thought. And so we move ourselves back into right thinking, right action. And so I think if I were to sum it all up, I'd say you can call up the best part of you in a moment.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And it is such for anyone who has experienced it, you know what Corey's talking about, but I have felt it where it's almost like I felt my heart expanding with with the truth as I was meditating upon something or yeah, even like I'll do an ah meditation and make the sound. Like it's almost like I can feel I can it's like almost like a physical thing. I know my heart's not physically getting bigger, but it is that sensation and it's just so cool.
Oh, it feels like it. And like when we feel emotionally wounded, it's like we can feel our heart contracting and it doesn't feel good. And it's like, and then the same when we feel incredible expansion, we feel like our heart is like a muscle that's stretching. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Well, this has just been such a gift. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, for putting your book out into the universe,
Uh,
and being here today.
Thanks so much, Teri.
All right, so how do folks connect with you? Where do they find you and your book?
Well, the website corerelationship.com is the central hub for everything Love Coach Corey. And there's a page dedicated to my book and awesome things that wonderful people have said about it. and a link to buy it. And then there's also other pages about my approach with coaching, relationship. And so that's everything, corerelationship.com.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us today on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye-bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock here. Just wanted to thank you again for being a part of this healing space and my hashtag Hope for Healing journey. Thank you for sharing, liking, inviting others to join, listening in. You've really helped this show blossom. It has now been downloaded in 136 countries and is in the top 2% globally out of 3.2 million shows, which is just amazing. And it's all because of you and your tuning in and inviting others and sharing and liking and loving. And your reviews on Apple really help too. My goal is to hit 100 5-star reviews by the end of the year. And I am closing in on that. So if you are listening in on Apple or Apple Podcasts, please go and rate the show and leave a review if you absolutely love it. And I would be most appreciative. Also, if you would like to receive my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, please be sure to go to teriwellbrock.com. It's Teri, just one R, WELLBROCK.com. And I have a gift to send you for signing up for that monthly Hope for Healing newsletter. Plus, there are many other resources listed on that page, including a resource library. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.